This is going to be a video over maximum and minimum, and we have two of those. We have a local and an extreme. And basically the local tells you just that. If you're looking for a local max or a local min around a specific point, and for the extreme, you're looking for the max and min over a specified interval, like say A to B, what's going to be the extreme max and mins there. So the first problem on the review sheet gives us the function f of x equals x minus the square root of x, and we are given an interval from 0 to 4, and we need to find the local and extreme max and min for those. To start off with, go ahead and take the derivative of your f of x, and that's going to be equal to 1 minus 1 over 2 square root of x. And if you don't know how we got that, you can go back and check some of the other derivative videos. So once we have the derivative, to find the max and min, or we need to find critical values. And basically critical value is going to be whenever you set your derivative equal to 0. And then you solve for your x. So for there, we're going to get negative 1 is equal to negative 1 over 2 square root of x. So from there, we're going to multiply both sides. Go ahead and multiply both sides by the negative. By negative 2 square root of x times negative 1, and whenever we multiply that up there by the negative 2 square root of x, that's going to clear out our denominator, and since we have a negative times a negative, that's going to make that a positive. And over here as well, we have two negatives, so that's going to be a positive. So we're left with 2 square root of x is equal to 1. Then we're going to divide both sides by 2, and we're left with the square root of x is equal to 1/2. Oops, got ahead of myself. It's equal to 1/2. Okay, to get rid of our square root of x, we're going to square both sides, and so that's going to leave us with the x over here is equal to, we're going to have our 1 squared, which is going to give us 1 over our 2 squared, which is going to give us 4. So this is going to be an actual critical value. So since we have a critical value, we need to check our critical value to make sure that it's in our interval. And we were initially given that our interval was from 0 to 4. And our critical value was equal to 1/4, which does check out that it is within that interval. So now that we have that, we take our x's, which are the endpoints of your interval, and then any critical values that fall within that interval, and then we plug those into the function, and we'll see what we come up with. So our function was f of x equals x minus the square root of x. So to start off with, we'll plug in 0. So the square root of 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 will give us 0 for there. And we'll take our f of 1/4. Because we're just plugging in the value everywhere we see a x. And the square root of 1/4. So it's going to be 1/4 minus, and whenever you're taking a square root of a fraction, right here you're going to do the same thing that you do whenever you're squaring a fraction. You're going to take the square root of the top and the square root of the bottom, and that's going to make your fraction. So the square root of 1 is 1 over the square root of 4, which is 2. So now we need a common denominator. So it's going to be 1/4 over 2/4, which is going to give us a negative 1/4. So we plug that in. And then our last one, our endpoint, f of 4, is going to be equal to 4 minus the square root of 4, which is going to be 4 minus 2, which is going to equal 2. Okay, so from there we can see that this one, our negative 1/4, is our smallest number. So that is going to be a min. And we can see that 2 is our largest whenever we compute that, and so that is going to be our max. And so whenever x is a whenever x is a quarter or 1/4, we're going to have our min, and whenever x is 4, we're going to have our max. And that's it for this one, and tune in for the next one.